All the terrible things happened in my family before I was born. Nonsense, my mother said. Lots of terrible things happened once you were born. Sometimes my mother exaggerated. I was born late in my parents' lives, and I didn't know my parents or my sisters very well. They were so much older. We seemed to live in different worlds. When I finally got to know my mother, it was through storytelling. Her anecdotes created a portal through which I could appreciate a strong and youthful side of her. Here's a story she told me. During World War II, my father flew from Guatemala to Brazil in 5 days. Seems long. But because my mother didn't have military or government clearance, it took her and my 2 sisters 12 days to follow him, flying standby on one propeller plane after another. After 6 days of travel, waiting for the next flight from one little airport cleared out of the jungle to another, my mother realized they were only halfway. My sisters, aged 5 and 7, ran around outside. They did make standby, and my sister, sweaty and quite angelic really, boarded the plane. "What's in the paper bag?" my mother asked. "Crayons." But it wasn't. Once airborne, Carol and Hillary opened their bag to peer at the fruit bat they had caught dozing under the eaves of the airport. In the cool of the plane, the bat revived, clawed its way out of the bag, and swooped and dived above the passengers. Men started swatting at it with newspapers. We don't have to stay for the ending. It was nasty. Eventually, they got to Panama City. Everyone was poised to leap into a taxi and get to the hotel before the rooms were taken. My mother was also ready to do this, but by the time she had assembled my sisters and arrived at the registration desk, the rooms were gone. "Donde? Where?" she asked the clerk. He took her to the front door and pointed down a long hill to a building at the bottom. Indeed, there was a room there for the night. Actually, she had to rent 2 rooms because none of them had more than 1 bed in each. My mother settled my sisters in the bed in one room and was stretching out next door when she heard crying. In she dashed. Several cockroaches were crawling over the sheets. The rest of the night my mother spent in their room sitting up in a wooden armchair with the light on to discourage the roaches. It was very hot. As soon as there's a lull, she decided, and the bathroom down the hall is empty, she would dab her children down with cold water. At present, however, the bathroom was a very raucous affair. Finally, at 5 a.m., she stood them in front of a filthy sink and used a pair of socks to sponge them down. "Touch anything and I'll kill you," she told them kindly. Her plan was simple. Toys in hand, they would now walk up the hill to the hotel and sit in the air-conditioned lobby until evening when they had to return to their rooms. There was a flight out the next day. They started up the hill. A man in a white suit was coming toward them from the hotel, a Honduran diplomat from the plane. He had showered. His cologne smelled of frangipani. There was a gardenia in his lapel. "Mrs. Hoffman," he waved a manicured hand. "Do you know these 2 American children have just spent the night in a brothel?" Well, I think they're going to spend 2 nights in a brothel. She wanted to say, because there's no room at the inn. No, he said, because tonight you are going to sleep in my room and I will take yours. That saint is how my mother referred to him in the future. My father didn't do as well. When she finally got to Rio, there he was, standing on the tarmac, waving, smiling. Take your children, Walter, she said, and never touch me again. Well, here I am. Sometimes my mother exaggerated.